Low back pain is debilitating. You don't need me to tell you how bad it can get, how much it hurts. Even simple things can become impossible. Lifting groceries out of your car, lifting laundry baskets off the floor, or even picking up your shoes. If you're like most people, you've probably tried lots of different things. Back braces, funny lifting techniques, just avoiding things that irritate your back altogether. But these strategies have probably given you limited help or temporary relief because they don't address the physiological problems in your body. These 4 lower back pain exercises address these problems and should help give you some relief, especially when your pain gets the most intense. My name is Jonathan from Fitness for Freedom. I'm a registered kinesiologist and I use exercise to teach people how to move. This topic is especially important to me because 15 years ago, I herniated a disc in my back so badly I had to lay down on the floor for 2 weeks and went through a 6-month rehab program until it could heal. And I still need to be careful. We'll get to the exercises in a minute, but first we need to check if this is likely to help you. These exercises are the most effective for people with spinal flexion intolerance. That's a fancy way of saying that you get lower back pain when you're in this flexed position. Examples of things that would cause your pain are lifting something off the ground, sitting, bending forward and down to look at something like a parent looking for a child under a table. From my experience, this is the most common cause of back pain. And if these are the types of things that hurt your back, these exercises are most likely to help you. They're less likely to help if you have one of the following conditions: stenosis, ankylosing spondylitis, facet joint irritation, arthritis, or if things like laying on your stomach, standing for long periods of time, or jumping hurt your back, then these exercises probably won't help. That being said, it probably won't make it worse either, so you just have to use your best judgment. The last thing before we do the exercises, you should understand the root cause for the back pain and what we're trying to achieve by doing these lower back pain exercises. Your spine is made up of bones called vertebrae. They are the support structure that protects the nerves that run down your spinal column. Muscles connect to your vertebrae to move your spine in a controlled way. When you're in the spinal flexion position, especially when holding a big load or sitting for extended periods of time, or worse, doing either of those things and rotating at the same time, you shift the load from the muscles to the discs, which weakens the wall of the disc and it bulges out. This irritates the nerve root, which causes the pain. The purpose of these exercises is to draw that disc bulge back in between the vertebrae to reduce compression on the nerves that run into your glutes and down your leg and improve the mobility of your hips. Like always, if something feels off or like you might be making it worse, stop doing the exercises. If you want the standing versions of these exercises because you don't want to get on the floor, check the description below. How you do these exercises is a bit different than you're used to. You're going to go based on feeling, not a predetermined number of reps or time. The first exercise is a sloppy push-up. It's a passive spinal extension exercise designed to draw your lumbar discs back between the vertebrae. And what we're going to do is lay down on our stomachs and try to take ourselves from this position where we're just laying down directly on our stomachs up until we push ourselves up in this passive extension position. And there are multiple levels that we're going to go through to get there, okay? So the first level is simply laying down on our stomach. And like we talked about earlier, we're trying to gauge how much discomfort we're in. From here, what's going to happen is that the discomfort will start to build or it will start to decrease. We're going to, if it starts to decrease, push ourselves up to the next level, which is simply putting one fist onto our forehead like this. And we're going to hold this position here, and it puts us in slightly more extension. Now, if the discomfort starts to build and continually gets worse, then this is the level that we're going to start at for all of the future sessions that we do. But for many people, this won't be quite high enough yet, and we need to increase the extension up to here. So what's happened is the pain has been decreasing, or it's eased, or it's non-existent, so we can push ourselves up a little bit higher. And now from here, the next level is to come up onto our elbows, like this. The last position, if things are still going okay and the discomfort's not building continually, is to come up onto our hands like this, keeping our hips on the floor all the time. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that they think they can push themselves even higher like this. As soon as your hips come up off the floor, that puts a lot of pressure on your lower back. It can actually lead to more injury or more pain. So we really want to avoid that position and keep it very passive so that your lower back doesn't have that extra pressure on it. The other thing that many people will notice is that they'll get in between levels. So let's say you've been able to come up onto your elbows like this, but that's still offering a little bit too much discomfort. But if you go down onto two fists like this, you're like, that doesn't really do anything, and it feels like it's relatively easy. So what you do is do repetitions in between the two positions. So you're going to go up onto your elbows, and then back down onto your hands like this, and then back and forth. And you might do that 5 or 6 times. And that's a way for you to increase the extension of your lower back without increasing your chance of injury or causing too much pain or discomfort. A few notes before we move on. Your feet should always stay on the floor, and your hands, arms, and gravity should always be doing the work. This isn't a Cobra or Superman lower back strengthening exercise. This is a passive train your spine how to move again exercise. Take your time when increasing the levels. Rushing up into pain will not speed up your recovery and could be detrimental. Start at the highest level you can tolerate. If you can rest on your elbows, don't waste time resting on your forehead or your hands. If you're in a bit of a flare-up, it's okay to go down a level. The whole point is to find the most effective level for you to get better on that day. Now, the next 3 exercises are shorter, I promise. Now we're going to move into the figure 4 stretch. The purpose of this exercise is to help loosen the piriformis muscle and reduce the amount it's pressing on the nerve that runs through it. The figure 4 stretch is a mobility exercise for your hip. What we're doing is increasing the flexibility of your piriformis muscle, as well as hopefully decreasing the compressive forces that are placed on the nerves that go into it. So to do it, or the first level of doing it, we're going to lay down on our back. And from there, I would always start on the side. You can do both sides, but I would start on the side that has more pain if you have a side that has more pain. So what we're going to do is keep one leg straight and then place your foot just across your knee near your thigh here. And what we're going to do is slowly bend it up. And as we bend it up, we should start to feel a light stretch on the outside of our hips, or maybe even a strong stretch. And what we're going to do is pull it up until we get to a point where we're like, oh, that's kind of tight enough. And we'll hang out there for a little bit of time, say 10 to 15 seconds or so. And from there, we'll pull it in. If it starts to ease off, we'll pull it in again. And wait for another 10 or 15 seconds. And if it stays really intense or is about as intense as we can handle, then we can stop there. But if it relaxes and we feel like we could push it a little bit further, then we're going to push it a little bit further again. And once we've come all the way to the top, if we want to get a little bit more stretch out of it, then we can push on the inside of our knee like this. And by pushing on the inside of your knee, what you're doing is creating a little bit of force, which will increase the tension on that piriformis muscle. And once we get past this point, we're not really getting anything out of this stretch anymore. What we're going to do is put our foot onto a wall or something that's pretty stable. And I'm going to use this post here. So we can just rotate ourselves over. I'll do it on a little bit of an angle so that you can see what's going on. And we're going to put the side that we're not stretching up onto the wall or the post. We want to make sure we're not too close. And we have about a 90-degree bend through our knees and then 90 degrees through our hips. And we cross our foot over the same way. For some people, this is going to be quite tight. If it is too tight when you're at 90 degrees, you can shift your body a little bit further away. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did and hold this stretch and then push it just a little bit to the outside, basically until it becomes tight enough that we feel like we might pull the muscle if we were to push it anymore. And if it starts to relax, we push it again, holding it for about 10 to 15 seconds each time. Really, a good guide is about 10 to 15 seconds for every one of these positions, and then doing it 2 to 4 times. There are no hard and fast rules for this. What matters is that you're doing the stretch and that you're feeling it at the maximum intensity that you can handle without hurting yourself. The biggest mistake that I see people make is that they get in a little bit too close to the wall, or as soon as they start pushing their inside of their knee, then they start letting their hips kind of twist like this. And when you let your hips twist like this, you're actually taking the load off of the piriformis, so stretching it less and putting it onto your lower back or into your spine. In order to get maximum stretch, we really want to prevent, instead of letting it twist like this, really try to fight that twist and keep our hips square and flat to the floor. In doing that, it really decreases our chance of becoming injured and maximizes the effectiveness of the stretch. The next exercise is the belt hamstring stretch. The purpose of this exercise is to help reduce the compression on the nerves that run into your hamstrings and to increase the flexibility of your hamstrings, which will make it easier for you to lift things up. A note for this one, keep the leg you're not stretching straight unless initiating the movement is painful, then try it with the other leg bent. To do this exercise effectively, you will need a belt or something that has no give to it, like a skipping rope. So we're going to lay down on our backs, just like this. And like the other exercises that we've done so far, we're going to start on the side of the lower back that has more pain. And if you don't have more pain on one side, then it doesn't really matter. So keeping one leg straight, what I want you to do is bend the leg up that you're stretching and loop the belt around it. And what we're going to do from here is straighten it out just a little bit, but keep it fairly bent still. And I want you to pull it until you start to feel a stretch in your hamstring from this position. And now from here, what you're going to do is straighten your leg out like this. And by bending it first and straightening your leg out, that'll allow you to get into a position of more stretch that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get yourself into. And what we're going to do is hold it like we have for all the other exercises until the intensity of the stretch starts to wear off a little bit. And once it starts to wear off where your muscles relax, then I want you to bend your knee a little bit more, pull it a bit further, and then straighten your leg out again into the band. And we're going to pull it and hold it for about 10 seconds or so. And once it starts to relax, then we can bend it more, pull it again, and then one more time, try to straighten our leg out into the belt. And again, we're increasing the progressive intensity of the stretch and the range of motion of the stretch. And in doing this, we'll create maximum flexibility through the muscle. Okay, so if you hold each of those positions for about 10 to 15 seconds before moving forward, or if you feel the intensity is getting too high in one of those positions, what you can do is just stop there, and that's far enough for you on that given day. The pigeon stretch is the last exercise of the sequence. Now we do this to increase the mobility of our hips, increase the flexibility of your glute muscle, and to release the compressive forces that are placed on the nerves that run into your glute. Now, a lot of people tend to do this one incorrectly, so I want you to watch really closely to get the most out of it. What we're going to do is to go onto all fours like this. And again, we're going to start by stretching the side where we have the most pain, if there is a side that has more pain. So take the side that hurts less, and I want you to cross it over behind the other leg until your knee is on the floor. And you can even try to draw this foot a little bit more forward if you want to. Now from here, we're staying on our hands, and we are going to push this leg back as far as we can, still on our hands. And then now we are going to go down on our elbows. And by staying on our hands first, what that does is it allows us to put us in a position that we wouldn't necessarily be able to get into if we go straight to our elbows, which increases the stretch potential within the muscle. So just like all of the other stretches we've done so far, we use the discomfort as the gauge. So once the muscle starts to relax a little bit, or if we're not feeling much of a stretch, then you can go up, back onto your hands, push it back a little bit further, and then go down onto your elbows. And we'll hang out here for a little bit longer, maybe 10 seconds or so, and then we go up, and then we push it back again, and we go down to our elbows. Or at this stage, you may want to take the hand on the side of the leg that's back and do what's called a thread the needle through your armpit or underneath your armpit right here, and then drop down onto your elbows from here. And what this does is, being in this position, is that it helps to rotate your hips even more over this way, which increases the stretch on this side of the glute. And then we go down like this, and again, hold it for your 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, the biggest mistake that most people make when they do this exercise is that they have a tendency just to go right onto their elbows. And like I said, you're not going to get as much stretch in the glute when you do that. It's important to maximize the stretch when you do these because it makes them as effective as possible. If you want a list of these exercises, there's a link in the description below. Although I do recommend watching this video again, starting at the exercise points, because it's the nuance of your form that can make the difference of them being effective or not. And sometimes it takes a few times to get the feel for it. So for a quick recap, we're doing the sloppy push-up, the figure 4 stretch, the belt hamstring stretch, and the pigeon stretch. Remember, you're not doing each exercise for exact time and reps, you're doing them based on feeling. If it's intolerable or has a lot of discomfort with it, do the easier version or stop. If the discomfort eases, move to a slightly harder variation. Until you get to the point of it being intolerable, then move to the next exercise. In terms of how often you should do this cycle, that depends. If you're really acute and in pain all the time, I would recommend doing it up to 3 times a day. If you get lower back pain periodically, just do it when you feel a flare-up coming on, or after you've done an activity where you know you're likely to have a sore back after, like shoveling, periods of sitting, or moving furniture around your house. You know the types of things that are triggering to you. You can also just do it once or twice a week preventatively. Now, these exercises can help give you relief and start to restore mobility and function. However, they don't solve the root cause of why you're continually hurting your back. So use these exercises to reduce your back pain, then watch this video to help prevent it from happening again. You might be surprised to know that it has nothing to do with core strength. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.